for our viewers' sake, just to get them, to understand a little bit more about yourself, outside of the stats that I've listed at the top of the show, just tell our viewers a little bit about who you are and what drew you to your Wing Chun practice.
Yeah, so we're saying a martial arts background. I'm a guy from the Chicago area. A relatively exciting childhood. I mean, it was great. I became a wrestler at the age of 12. My mother made me
Mm.
choose a sport because I was so introverted. So I'm like,
Oh.
so she because I'm a small kid, and I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm 5'7" as a grown man, and my mother said, she's like, pick a sport, and I'm like, all right. I knew that baseball I was too short and uncoordinated for.
Mm.
Basketball, I actually had an injury and trying out for basketball
Oh, wow.
where it was grammar school. I shot or somebody shot the ball, hit the rim. I went for the rebound. I come down with the rebound and I'm looking, and the entire gym is like pointing at me and they're all yelling. I can't hear anything. And I go
Oh.
like this, and my hand is all red. The rim fell down and cracked my head open. And I'm like, okay, so
Oh,
basketball's out.
wow.
And football, I just didn't have any passion for football. So I said, all right, I'm going to pick the toughest sport out there because she's going to say no and she'll leave me alone. So I said, yeah, I want to wrestle. She goes, okay, sign me up for wrestling. And I went to my first wrestling camp. I went to a week-long wrestling camp in summer. So it's, anybody who's ever been a wrestler, there's no air conditioning in the gym. It's a Midwest
Mm.
Chicago, just humid day. And
Oh.
I remember learning what a double leg takedown was in practice.
Mm.
And my first exposure to the way the coaching used to be done
Mm.
was I shoot in for a double leg takedown. This is day one, right? We're doing drills. Now it's partner drills. And as I shoot in for a double leg takedown, my hair starts burning. Well, that's because the coach, and I'll never forget his name, Coach Cruz, he grabbed me by my hair. He yanked my head up and he screamed at the top of his lungs, pick your head up, you effing commie pinko fag. I knew what a commie was. I didn't know what a pinko was. I knew what a fag was. I was like, okay. Then I'm repeating verbatim, but I was like, I never was exposed to that type of intensity before in any kind of coaching.
Oh,
So honestly,
wow.
that's what got me addicted to it. And it was kind of like the gluttony to a degree, right? I'm going, okay, this is insane. Kept going back, but kept going back. Instantly fell in love with wrestling because of how intense the sport was. Spent my entire time wrestling. I was a decent wrestler. I finished high school at 135 was my weight class.
Mm.
34 and like 10, I think I was my senior year. And then when I went on into the rest of my adult life, I tried to wrestle a little bit in college, dropped out, but I wanted to keep training. So I was looking for martial arts. And back then in the 90s, Jeff Speakman was huge
Mm.
with Kempo Karate. And Jeff Speakman was from Arlington Heights, Illinois. And that was 2 towns over from where I was. So I'm looking all over for places to train. And I'm 20, 25 minutes outside of Chicago.
Right.
I never really went to the city. So in the suburbs, there wasn't a lot of places out there. Couldn't find a lot of places. Tried Shotokan Karate for about 2 years. And I'm like, nothing matched wrestling for me. Nothing did. I got into the nightclub industry. I was a bartender, but we got into fights all the time. Wrestling was just
Oh, okay.
how it was. I love to lift
Right.
weights. And then I one of the guys that I was working with at one of the restaurants I was with started like screwing around with me, right? He would just throw
Mhm.
punches, this and that stuff.
Right.
We would slap boxes. We would drive past by.
Mhm.
One day he just takes me aside. This was 1998. And he starts doing back fist drills with me. And I'm like, what
Oh,
is this stuff? And he goes, this is Wing Chun. And he was learning from his cousin. So
wow.
after work, we would start doing Wing Chun a little bit. And I'm like, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. Fast forward, yeah, I found my first formal teacher,
Mm.
immediately fell in love with the art. And I went, this is what I've been looking for forever. So I had wrestling background, a little bit of Shotokan Karate.
Right.
I did box. I did 3 smoker events when I was a cop,
Oh,
which
wow.
I'm 1 and 2, and
Mhm.
we were wearing those big 18-ounce gloves and headgear you can't see out of.
Oh,
And
wow.
Wing Chun helped me with that, which was great. And then I just literally fell in love with Wing Chun. So from 1998 until still going now, I did take a 5-year layoff the last 5.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Understood.
I've been in love with Wing Chun ever since.